Hello everyone, this is Prof Mobius and I'm going to demonstrate the latest release of Waila 1.4.0. If you are already using the nightlies, this is the same version as the release of the 21st of November, besides a couple bug fix. If you are using the 1.3.10, this is one major update with a lot of new functionalities that I'm going to demonstrate. So first of all, I'm starting on the main menu. There is a good reason for that. If you go to Options, Control, and you scroll down, you will see that all the keybinds are now tagged with the mod including them. So this is a really small feature, but really good one, because before that, when you had a lot of mods and you couldn't really know what was adding what, and it was quite hard to get your key binding correctly. For example, placement modifier, if you don't know that it's from Forge microblock, it's a bit hard to know what it is for. There is a lot more to come, so let's just start my world. Okay, so the first feature is a way more complete config screen. So if you press numpad 0 and you go to Waila, you will see a configure aspect here. If you click on it, it gives you a fully fledged configuration screen where you can drag and drop the tooltip to choose where you want it. You can change the alpha of the tooltip. So let's say, for example, if we do something like this, now the tooltip is on the side and it's nearly transparent. You can also change the scale like this. So now you have a small tooltip. And in the config file, you can also change the color of the tooltip. Another big update is the capacity to watch at liquids and know what they are for, what they are. So for example, here we have slick water from Engineer Toolbox, or oil, distillers redstone, etc. etc. It's quite useful for mods adding a lot of new liquids, and you can turn it on and off by using the show liquid option here, so numpad 2 by default. And as you can see, it's changing from the old behavior to the new one. Another new feature is when you are looking at a block, if you press, if you press show receipt or show usage, so numpad 3 and 4 by default, you will see that it's going to show you directly the receipt, well, in this case the usage, for the given block. So you can see what you can do with it. And those are directly NEI recipes. Or receipts, like here. So it's quite useful for like spotlighters and all that. So you just show the block you're looking, and you press 3, and it's going to show the receipt, and you don't have to do like complicated chest drawing stuff. Another new feature is also when you are inside your inventory and you put your cursor on an item and you press a key, you press Y, you are going to have a full list of all the mods, all the enchants available for this object, with the name, min and max level, the mod it is, where it is from, so after that you can look it on the internet, and the weight, which is the chances for you to get it. So the bigger the better. So for example, here you have a weight of 10 for sharpness, weight of 5 for Smith. So you have more or less twice the chance to get sharpness than you do to get Smith. And it also it also takes into account enchantability. So if you put the golden sword, you are going to see that the values are different. Another new feature is entities. Now you have a tooltip for entities. It doesn't show much beside which mod is hiding the given entity. I'm planning on adding more things to this tooltip, like life and drops and this kind of stuff. I think that's about it for the new features. So now let me show you a couple of bug fixes compared to the 1.3.10. First of all, blocks with drops that are not themselves are going to show the block itself, as you can see here. And that should fix some of the problem with forestry and applied energetics quartz and some other mods with ores that are not dropping the block itself. Another bug fix I included is a bug fix for the infamous Tomcraft leaf changing part. So as you can see now, the leaves and the plants are not changing themselves into something else when you are looking at them. So this version of Waila is pretty safe to use with Tomcraft and Twilight Forest, who suffered from the same problem. Another list of things I added in this version are new modules for a lot of mods. So here you can see I finally included cacao beans in the growth tooltip to cacao beans, and also to nether warts. So if you plant your nether wart, you are going to see directly the growth. So the liquids I already talked about. Thermal expansion 3. So for all machines which are using redstone flux, you will have the capacity. For the cell, you will see the maximum input-output. For the tesseract, you are going to see the internal configuration, so frequency and receive send. So for example, if I put it like this, it's going to show on the tooltip directly if it's sending or receiving EDM, fluid, energy, etc. And you also have the owner and the status, which is defined in this security tooltip. All blocks which are going to use thermal expansion security system are going to include this line in the tooltip. So as you can see, it's also working for the strong box. Another new feature for thermal expansion is for item ducts, you will see the mode in which it is. I am colorblind, and this is some kind of colorblind mode because all those colors I can't really say what this pipe is for without having some kind of hubhead having it written. And it's about the same problem for tanks, because they have also a color coding which is much more recognizable, but it doesn't really help when you are like building stuff and everything. So here you see it's in input and it contains lava with 4 buckets of lava. If I switch to output, it changes and the liquid duct will show what liquid you have inside. The same way for under storage, you get the color code written directly in the tooltip for both tanks and chest. Another big module I made is for Engineer Toolbox. Here you go. So here you see all the modules on each side of the socket with the item stack, the internal item storage, internal tank storage, redstone latch, and redstone control, I think, for the last one. So it's like green for item storage, blue for internal tanks, red for latch, and purple for control. Another mod I support now is under IO. So you will see on capacitor banks the input-output max storage. For the alloy smelter, same thing, you see the internal storage and the max power you can use in it. Well, the max power it's going to use when powered. For the lights, for the tesseract or the hypercube, you are going to see the frequency and honor along with access mode. So here, for example, I have a private channel called test2, so you can see it's written test2 with Prof Mobius. If I put on a public channel, you can see that it's a public channel, it's written. By doing this, I also added Buildcraft Energy API. So if you look at other Buildcraft blocks, you will see the storage, the internal storage, max power, and the trigger value, which is more or less the amount of energy you need in storage before the block start doing anything. It's going to work on all blocks with Buildcraft compatibility. So for example the pump, and from other mods, Query Plus, where you have exactly the same kind of display, and it's also the kind of display you have here. Another big update I made is well, it's a feature I had planned for Red Power at first, but happened that Red Power, well, Waila was not public at this time, so I made it for Project Red instead, and it's tile overlay. As you can see, now you can look at a tile, at the gate, and see which side is in, out, lock, etc. It works on all the gates and vertically on all positions. I also added something a bit more standard. So here you can see the current shape, well, the current opening of the light sensor, which you can change. For the timer, you can see the timing. For example, if I put 5 seconds, you will see it directly in the tooltip. For the counter, you will have min, max value, and the stepping, and still with this neat effect around.